Hello, hello. Hi, David.
Hey, Eduard. Another
Okay.
episode of the Love Not Fear podcast. And today we're talking about...
I'd like to propose that we talk about wanting versus creating.
Okay.
So you probably have thoughts about that. There's the people that stay in the mindset of just wanting without moving towards creating what they really want. That makes them uninspiring. On the other hand, before putting ample research in what you actually want in your life, you cannot start creating. So what is your take on that?
For me, it sparks the idea of consuming versus creating. You know, like either you're a consumer or you're a creator. Most entrepreneurs are creators. You build things and you create things. And consumers do not. And, you know, it's also from a financial point of view and also from a fulfillment point of view. If you create, you'll be much happier. And this also goes in terms of personal development. A lot of people consume every video on personal improvement and personal development and read every book, but they do not take action. So I think it's the rubber has to hit the road, and you have to take action and create.
I actually had a therapist that said stop reading management books. I was consuming so many ideas without executing. It was making me unhappy. So I guess the balance is be inspired, take action, be inspired, take action, instead of piling up on ideas and thoughts without going into action.
It's, for example, every time we meet for an EO meeting, for our EBC meetings, I come back with a laundry list of ideas and thoughts, but then, you know, that's the cool thing. That's also the fun or the easy thing. But then it comes down to which ones of these things do I actually execute on, and you know, where do I create? And this is always again where the rubber hits the road.
I think for me, it starts even earlier. I take these basic ideas of what I want to work on in my mind, and I bounce them off people to see. To shape them better in my head and to see what has my priority in the next time. So it's not only taking inspiration, but it's also creating the ideas of fine tuning them by telling them to other people. That's very valuable.
That is often people come to me. I think it's really important that you talk about your ideas with others, with potential customers or with peers or whatever, so you can refine them. I often have that people come to me and say like, hey, you're an entrepreneur, you do the tech stuff. Like, I have this amazing idea, but you have to sign this NDA first and blah before I can tell you about this amazing idea. And then I always say like, you wouldn't even have to continue the conversation. You will not be successful because you have to expose your ideas to the market to get feedback. That's, you know, again, that's falling under the wanting. You know, they want something, but the creation process is involves others. You know, you cannot do this in the vacuum.
Yeah, those are. And what are your ideas about striving for perfection in that? When is a good time to just get going, and when do you just?
The best time to plant a tree is 30 years ago or today, right? And so perfection, it's if you're coming from the startup world, if you're not ashamed about the product that you put out there, at least to some degree, you've waited way too long. It's about just like doing and you know, kind of rolling with the punches and learning from learning while doing, you know, like not tinkering on something until it's like perfect. Same with this podcast, you know, we could like study and plan and do way more, but it's much better to just like get out there and put this out there in the world and see what resonates with people and what doesn't resonate with people.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I've heard this inspirational quote the other day. It's by John Maxwell. And he says that people change when they heard enough that they have to, they learn enough that they want to, and they receive enough that they're able to. And that I had to chew on that a little, but that's exactly true. If any of those three variables are missing, then nothing is going to happen.
Very true. And unfortunately, most people only move if they feel the pain, right? I guess that's also kind of coming from a place of fear, right? You only move if you have the fear. If you go to work to pay, the only reason is to pay for your life, versus if you go out of love because you want to cause change, or you want to have a positive impact, or you want to help the customers of your business to succeed in what they're doing. I think that this, I think it's super crucial that you make this switch in your mind, that you are not only acting because of the fear, of the pain that you're feeling.
Okay. And I guess it's also out of fear that people stop exposing themselves to new ideas. I've met plenty of people that basically stop building their skills, picking up new skills, learning new traits because of fear from the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
That is very
fear of rejection, or fear of like looking bad, right? Because it's, you're not perfect in what you're doing. I read something it's with kids, that if you, let me see if I can get this together. If you always praise a kid for like, oh, you're so talented at this, then will always stay in their comfort zone. Versus if you praise them for like, oh, you've been working really hard on this, then they'll switch, and they will actually try out new things and continuously grow. They'll be in a growth mindset. Versus like, if you say like, hey, you're talented at this, then they'll never try something else out, because then they're not good at this, and it's totally cool to be not good at something. If I've been recording podcasts for a while, or recording videos. If I look back at the early ones, I'm totally cringing, but this is just a process. You start out and you get better and better and better.
Yeah.
But just by doing,
Yeah. When you focus at the result you want, you lose interest in what other people think, right? So I get very unhappy if I measure myself against other people. I actively have to take back and look on the progress I've made in the past period, and that shifts. That's a huge shift in perception. If I don't actively do that, I will focus on everything that I haven't accomplished in this particular time frame. And by zooming out and looking at the progress that I have made, it's a huge change. Yeah.
I agree that it makes sense to only measure yourself, like how good you. For example, I go running with my brother-in-law, and he's much fitter than me, and he's just like running fast. If I compare myself to him, then I could be discouraged. Versus just looking at like, how have I been improving. But there's also another side of the coin of like being competitive. I used to hate being competitive, but I think it's also a really good thing, because it brings the best out in us. If you see it from a place of love, not from a place of fear. I used to see being competitive only like a fear-based thing, right? I didn't want to lose. I don't want to lose in a competition, but also do not want to crush the opponent. Right, so it's like I've always been struggling with being competitive. But actually, I think it was Leonidas, one of our EO forum mates. He told me that in the Greek language, being competitive means getting better together.
Yeah.
So if we push ourselves together, then we'll have the best outcome, because iron sharpens iron. And if I get inspired by you running faster than me, I'll push myself like, let's keep up with them, and not getting discouraged by if I think like, oh, I'm not as successful. Mark Zuckerberg is younger than me, but he's way more successful. I think that's like can pull you down. I think there's truth in both, to be competitive and like work with your peers to push yourself, but also looking at your own progress and not comparing yourself to people who are like way further ahead than you.
The fact that you run with your brother-in-law who's fitter, that it probably pushes your limits. If you were to surround yourself with people that are less fit, chances are that you will not improve that much. So
you're the average of the 5 people you surround yourself the most with, right? And this is
better be the dumbest in the room.
Yes,
that's
absolutely.
a very cool expression. I think this is good for today. What do you think?
Yes, perfect.
Okay,
beautiful.
See you next time.
Go to lovenotfear.com, sign up for the community, buy a Love Not Fear shirt, spread the love. See you in the next one.
Bye.